Do you guys like this angle? I tried to switch it up a little bit so that you could see me a little bit better with the lighting. Whatever. Ooh, yeah. Hello from my side of the screen. I'm Leah Mojo, and welcome back to my channel where I retell stories of the Bible while putting my makeup on. If you're ever interested in the makeup products that I use, I will link them down in the description box below. And if you want to know where I purchased my personal study Bible from, I will also link that down in the description box as well. Grab yourself a drink, make yourself comfortable, but first, disclaimer. I am not a pastor, nor theologian, nor historian. I am simply a lover of Jesus and makeup. That's it. I encourage you to read the good book for yourself. If you have any questions or doubts, that just makes you human. Not here to change anyone's opinions, but I do hope that this series is life-giving and opens us all up to exploring and stretching our individual faiths whilst encouraging us to think outside of ourselves. Cool? I bet. Let's get into it. Today's Bible story will be coming from Genesis chapter 6 through 9. All right, last week we talked about the first murder, Cain killing his little brother Abel. And at this point, Cain has been driven out of his homeland by God as a punishment for the crime that he committed. And he has settled somewhere else called Nod, where he started to have kids and populate the earth like the Lord told him to. But Cain's wasn't the only populating going on. At this point, there was a lot of population springing up all over the earth. The bad news was a lot of it was just pure evil. Now, the Bible actually calls this offspring something called Nephilim. Now, I won't go too deep into this terminology because, again, I am not a theologian and I am not a historian. And there's actually multiple different views on what the word Nephilim actually means. But for the sake of the story, they could have been the offspring of spiritual beings and mortal beings, like human beings, resulting in giants, as in very large men. And they existed pre and post flood. But the biggest thing to remember is that they were not good in the sight of the Lord. So there was just evil everywhere. Earth is a total cesspool at this point. It's really sad because, we're only a hop, skip, and a jump away from Adam and Eve. Anyway, a few generations down the line from Adam and them, we reach a man called Noah. Now, Noah was a good man. He walked faithfully with God. And this was kind of a big deal to God because at this point, there was so much shenanigans and tomfoolery wickedness going on in the world that God was like, you know what? I'm finna start over from scratch. Homeboy was regretting making mankind in the first place. And you know what? I don't blame him. So he basically just came to the conclusion, I'm gonna start all over again. But Noah, like I said, was a friend of God. They was tight. So one day God goes to Noah and he's like, all right, so boom, I'ma drown the world. Everyone and everything is gonna die. It's trifling here. These people are evil, wicked, ghetto. And quite frankly, Noah, I'm sick of it. So you, your wife, y'all 3 sons, and their wives, I'ma spare y'all. 'Cause I like you, Noah. I like you. You be acting like you got some sense. So I want you to build an ark, a very large boat, so that y'all don't drown. Here go the blueprints. I want you to build it just like this, down to the screw size. Measurements gotta be exact. Follow every step closely and don't you change not a thing, not even the wood type. Do you understand me? So at this point, Noah's probably like, okay. So God's like, okay, bet. I want you to gather a male and a female of every animal and put them on the ark with you guys. Gather every type of food and store it all up. Got it? And Noah's like, got it, I guess. And then Noah did exactly what he was told. I know you're probably thinking, did he ask questions? Because I would have asked some questions. And I mean, he probably did, but the Bible doesn't really go into that, like into detail. It just says that Noah did exactly what he was told. And quite frankly, I think we should all strive for that level of obedience. So some time passes and Noah builds the entire ark. Now, mind you, people always been nosy from the dawn of time. I know people was probably like, now what in tarnation are you building, Noah? Asking all types of questions. And Noah was probably like, nothing, just a treehouse for my kids. Mind you, his sons are grown at this point. But essentially he was telling people, go on about your day, mind your business. So eventually Noah finishes the ark, and he finished it right on time because shortly after God visits him and is like, all right, so boom, the flood's gonna happen in a week. And it's gonna last 40 days and 40 nights. I'm flushing absolutely everything, down to the smallest bacteria. Here's a list of a few last minute things and creatures I want you to gather. You and your family go ahead and proceed to move on into the ark, your new home. Wow, God really said, throw the whole world away. So again, Noah does exactly what he's told. Him and his family get onto the ark as they're told, where they reside with the animals that they brought. And a week later, just as God said, the flood came. Now, I'm sure on Earth it was absolutely chaotic, but Noah and his family were safely tucked away into the ark, along with all the animals that they had saved. And water came from absolutely everywhere. Came from the sky, came from the ground, all of that. Flushed out everything. Plants, animals, humans, dust particles, birds, everything that had breath in its body died. D-E-D, dead. Only the ark and its inhabitants survived. So, after the 40 days and the 40 nights of rain, it took like over 100 and some odd days for the water to actually subside or recede, whatever you want to call it. So Noah sends out a raven to see if it will actually find land. But nope, no land found. Just water everywhere, as far as the eye could see. So the raven returned. So then Noah waited some more days and he sent out a dove this time instead of a raven. Now this time, the dove comes back and it's got an olive branch. You know what that means. Land ho, homies. Now this was super exciting to Noah and everyone on the boat because at this point, remember, they have been on this boat for not just the 40 days and the 40 nights, but now there's like 100 and some odd extra days that have passed because they had to wait for all the water to go down. This is like the cruise from hell. I mean, imagine being stuck with the same people on a boat, not to mention all the smells that they must have had to endure with all them daggone animals. So then he sends the same dove out, the one that brought him the olive branch. But this time, the dove just never came back. Homie found a tree somewhere and was like, yeah, I'm never going back to that ark. So at that point, all the flood water had dried up, like I said. And I'm sure the ark just actually got lower and lower to the ground until it hit dry land. And God was like, all right, Noah, you guys can come on out now. Go on and repopulate the earth. I mean, it's all yours anyway. Clean slate. Go repopulate. Ooh.
Bars.
Noah, and I'm sure everyone else and every animal on that ark was like, thank God, fresh air. Probably kissed the ground when they got off the boat. So the first thing that Noah and his family do is they build an altar to God. And they sacrifice some of the clean animals that they had bought as like burnt offerings. Sounds weird, but this is just what they did in the Old Testament. And God was like, okay, never again will I flood the earth in my wrath and destroy the human race, even though humans are wicked. And never again will I destroy all living things. So God sets some new rules in place with Noah and his family. And so he seals it with a sign, which was a rainbow in the sky. Rainbow in the sky. I can go twice as high. Take a look, it's a notebook. All right, let me stop before I get copyright issues up here. But nah, in all seriousness, the rainbow was the sign of God's covenant to human beings or mankind, Noah and his family, but also that he would never destroy mankind again, basically. Like he would never wipe us out again, no matter how wicked or evil mankind became. Shoot.
Bro, that was my second one.
Now, from here on out, it would seem like things would be good. They started all over, new clean slate. It would seem like everything would be pretty Gucci, right? It's just Noah and his family living life with the animals. Sounds like the Garden of Eden all over again. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? But our story continues. So remember, Noah had 3 sons. Their names were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So the next part of the story seemed slightly random to me as I was reading it, but I'm sure there's a reason for it. Now, before the flood, Noah was a man of the soil. So it only seems natural that he stays a man of the soil. So he decides to plant a vineyard. He drinks some wine from that vineyard and apparently gets pretty lit. So much so that he wanders into a cave drunk and passes clean out. Now, one of Noah's sons finds his father in this drunken state, sees him naked, and I guess runs out of the cave to tell his brothers, who then walk into the cave backwards as to not see their father's nakedness, and they also have a covering with them, and they proceed to cover their father without actually looking at him. Seems innocent enough to me. But when Noah woke up from his drunken stupor, he was apparently livid at his son Ham, who was the one who walked in on him first and saw him naked. Now, the Bible doesn't really go into details on what actually transpired in that cave, but Noah was so upset and so angry at Ham that Noah decides to curse Ham's son to be a slave, basically cursing his entire bloodline. Now, I don't want to speculate. There's been books and articles written on what actually might have gone down in that cave. Like I said, the details are not presented in the Bible, so it's a little murky. But to curse your son's bloodline, all because he saw you naked, seems a bit extreme to me. Now, some scholars say that being seen naked in that time by anyone other than your spouse was a huge no-no. It was like extremely shameful, which could make sense because I remember like Adam and Eve, when they realized that they were naked, how ashamed they were. And this was like one of the laws that God supposedly laid out. That's what some scholars say. Other scholars say, and this one made the most sense to me based on Noah's extreme reaction, that Ham allegedly could have possibly done something super shameful to his father while he was like passed out drunk. Use your imagination. Now, I'm gonna leave it at that because it could be some kids watching. We don't know. We don't know. And like I said, this is many different scholars who over time have kind of like gone and done some research of the wording of certain things, like what certain things meant in the Bible. And also like when you see that same wording used later on in Bible stories where things went down that might have been by force, you know what I'm saying? In that type of situation, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to avoid saying the actual word, you know what I'm saying? But taking somebody against their will or doing something to someone unbeknownst to them in a kind of rated TV mature type of way, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But I did find some really interesting articles that I'm gonna go ahead and link down below if you want to check those out. Maybe to read up on it yourself, because again, I don't know. Don't nobody here know what happened in that cave, but something drastic happened in that cave. It could have just been that he saw his daddy naked and that could have been it, you know what I'm saying? But if the other thing is the case, we back at it again with the wickedness. Zamham. So really, I mean, that's the end of Noah's Ark as told in the Bible. The next few verses is literally telling us that Noah lived to be like 950 years old and then he died. So yeah, this one ended on a weird note, but hey, I'm just a messenger. Let me know your thoughts. I mean, God really threw the whole world away only for there to be wickedness like 2 seconds later. Like, that about wraps up this Bible story and this makeup look. I try to do something a little bit edgier, a little bit darker than what I normally do. I'm not a huge fan of the lip, but I don't hate the eye. Matter of fact, because it's makeup, it comes right off. If I don't like something, just take it off. Yeah, I do like it better with the sheer lip gloss. I just feel like I've been doing sheer lip gloss for the last 2 looks. I was trying to switch it up, give you guys something a little bit different. But I really like this edgy, smoky, like dark eye. We stan a dark look. I almost knocked over my laptop and I had a mini heart attack. Anyway, be sure to like this video if you liked this video and subscribe for more content. Follow me on Instagram because that's where I be at. And I will see you guys very soon for next week's story. Okay, love you. Bye.